Hello, good evening. It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Kanda. I am Portia Gabor.
And I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. These are the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Court of Appeal award of bail to former chief executive of defunct Capital Bank Asiedu-Dartey ignites debate.
Minority in Parliament accuses Roads and Highways Minister of double standards and misrepresenting old new road projects as new initiatives.
Also in the bulletin, Nigerian government sends fact-finding delegation to ascertain truth behind reports calling for deportation of its nationals.
In business news, Bank of Ghana cuts key lending rates to 25% amid cooling inflation and strong cedi, but a financial economist says 20% would have been ideal.
And on the international front, at least 22 people killed in Angola fuel hike unrest. We have details of all these stories and more. We're also streaming on our website and Facebook, so let's hear from you on the stories we have for you tonight.
In our very first story, the founder of defunct Capital Bank, William Asiedu-Dartey, has been granted bail by the Court of Appeal. This comes 21 months after he was sentenced to serve a 15-year jail term for his role in the collapse of the bank.
Lawyers for the businessman urged the Court of Appeal to grant him bail pending an appeal against the 15-year sentence. They told the court William Asiedu-Dartey had been unwell and required urgent medical attention. He was convicted and sentenced in October 2023 after he had failed to stick to payments agreed with the state. While standing trial for various offenses including stealing, he entered into an agreement to refund 90 million cedis. 30 million of that amount was immediately paid, with the remaining 60 million spread into 3 installments of 20 million cedis each. He, however, failed to pay the first 20 million cedis, causing the Office of Attorney General to push for custodial sentence to be imposed. At the time court delivered its judgment, he had been able to repay 37 million cedis out of the agreed 90 million cedis. The businessman is said to have suffered an injury while serving jail time, making the request for bail necessary. The bail is in the sum of 10 million cedis with 2 sureties. He is also to surrender his passport and report to the registrar of the court on a monthly basis.
Right, so the former Attorney General and Ghana's first special prosecutor has been commenting on the recent decisions of Ghana's Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, and a number of issues he raises in his article is what we're going to be bringing to your attention now. So Martin Amidu, former Attorney General, says, amongst other things, that the Attorney General's decision, for instance, to end the trial of Dr. Kwabena Dufo and 7 others is a textbook case of governance for family, friends and cronies, and he says it reeks of corruption. He goes on to say that citing the Beige Capital acquittal to justify dropping charges against the former client is disingenuous, and that's his word he uses. Again, he says criminal trials must be based on real crimes, not used by officials for extortion or favors to cronies. Again, Martin Amidu says, why extort money from Dufo and others when there is no guilt admitted and civil recovery is possible? This is corruption and abuse of power. And again, he says, patriotic citizens must speak up. I have spoken. What about you? Let's speak. Let's put Ghana first. And those are the words of Martin Amidu, former Attorney General and also Ghana's first OSP. So he's been following all legal conversations in the country and has shared his thoughts on it in a longer episode. If you go to our website, 3news.com, you get all the details of what exactly, or the counter arguments that Martin Amidu has been making.
In more news tonight, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has invited former Ghana Airports Company Limited's board chair, Paul Adom-Otchere, to present himself for questioning over a corruption probe into a revenue assurance audit. A letter dated July 25 is said to have named Paul Adom-Otchere as wanted in an ongoing probe. The investigation centers on a contract awarded to the Ghana Airports Company to another private firm allegedly owned by the Chief Executive Officer of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML. Latest information we are getting is that Paul Adom-Otchere will be at the OSP tomorrow, Thursday, July 31.
All right, away from that to education-related matters. The Ghana Education Service, GES, says it is in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, the West African Examination Council and regional district directors, as well as the leadership of affected schools, to ensure that senior high school 3 students writing the West Africa Certificate Examination, or WASI, in Bawku and Nalerigu under curfew write it under safe conditions. They go on to say that the statement, which was signed and issued by the head of public relations, Daniel Fenyi, said that special examination arrangements and secure centers are currently under consideration. It said for the first senior high school 1 or SHS 1 and 2 students in affected schools, the Ghana Education Service is exploring all viable learning avenues to ensure continuity of lessons while campuses remain closed for safety assessments. The Ghana Education Service thanked government through the Ministry of Interior for swiftly evacuating students safely out of campus and pledged to work closely with the security agencies to enhance safety to school campuses and to protect both students and personnel. And here's a quote to say, "We call on all stakeholders, community leaders, parents and law enforcement agencies to support efforts to maintain peace, discipline and the sanctity of our educational institutions."
Meanwhile, the Catholic Diocese of the Navrongo-Bolgatanga has expressed deep concern over the alarming rise in violence and insecurity across parts of the Upper East and Northeast regions. The diocese, which spans both regions, is calling for immediate and coordinated interventions by government and authorities, as well as civil society and traditional leaders, to restore peace, particularly in communities affected by the protracted Bawku conflict. The release said since March 2025, the diocese has observed a surge in violent incidents in areas including Bawku, Binduri, Nanik, and more recently Nalerigu. It says these disturbances have impacted not only communities but also educational institutions, with notable incidents recorded in Zorungu and Gori senior high schools, where school violence led to destruction of property, disruption of learning, resulting in the indefinite closure of these schools. The statement calls on government to take urgent and comprehensive steps to restore peace in conflict-affected areas like Bawku, emphasizing the need for a safe environment for education and daily life. It also urges security personnel to act with the highest level of professionalism in maintaining law and order.
On to some other stories now. Government has strongly condemned the attempted arrest of a Joy News reporter and the assault of an eyewitness by a soldier at a demolition site. According to a statement signed by the Minister of Government Communications, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, the John Mahama administration views such actions as utterly unacceptable and having no place in our democratic society. The government has reaffirmed its commitment to the freedom and safety of journalists, emphasizing that a free and unfettered press is essential for accountability, transparency, and informed public discourse. The government has directed the Minister for Defense and the National Security Coordinator to investigate the incident and ensure that appropriate punishment is imposed immediately. Disciplinary and punitive measures will be applied without delay to ensure accountability and prevent future occurrences. The government has also reiterated its commitment to protecting the right and safety of all Ghanaian citizens. This incident has sparked concerns about the role of security personnel in ensuring the safety of journalists and citizens alike.
In more news tonight, following a recent demonstration by some Ghanaians calling for the deportation of Nigerian nationals from Ghana, both countries have condemned the act, indicating it could mar the relationship between the two countries. The Nigerian government has since sent a fact-finding delegation to ascertain the truth behind the reports, which have become topical in Nigeria while catching the attention of the Nigerian president.
As we have agreed, the video that went viral, which incensed Ghanaians legitimately, we were all outraged when we saw that video. That video has been condemned by our counterparts from Nigeria. They have reprimanded the gentleman. He has been asked not to engage in such statements and such commentary. As you do know, I had met him earlier, and he was very contrite in the meeting, has apologized. He's issued a public statement apologizing to President Mahama, to the government and people of Ghana. And fellow Ghanaians, let's also remember that Nigeria is one of the places where we have a lot of Ghanaians living in that country. A lot of Ghanaians. Our consular department tells us that not less than 500,000 Ghanaians are living in Nigeria. So there is always the potential of reprisal attacks. And so it is absolutely crucial that this is managed very well.
For her part, the Nigerian Minister of State in charge of Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, said her observations were different from the widespread media reports in Nigeria. She used the occasion to call on Nigerians in Ghana to respect the laws of their host country.
I came and I saw with my own two eyes that there were not tires burning on the streets and people with placards everywhere urging Nigerians to be deported. And it speaks to how the government of President John Mahama was able to rise to the occasion. President Mahama and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are like brothers. So the message, in short, would be that there is no cause for alarm. The situation is being handled quite effectively. We will continue with our stakeholder engagement. We have met some of the dramatist personnel, the people who are in the melt of this crisis, to continue to ensure that this is not a situation that repeats itself, is continually explored.
In more news tonight, government has officially announced the return of road tolls that will only be electronic across the country without human interference. Speaking at the Government Accountability Series, the Minister of Roads and Highways, Governance Kwame Agboja, revealed that the new system will eliminate cash transactions at toll booths, replacing them with digital payment options, including mobile money and electronic cards.
It was difficult to see the 10,800 kilometers President Akufo-Addo declared at a point in time that they have done. It was difficult to see even 1,000 kilometers of roads in good condition in only one location, let alone 10,800. We have done the transition, we want to transition to electronic and automated tolling system, enhance transparency and auditability of revenue inflows, improve user experience and reduce congestion at toll points. The ministry has launched a concessionaire pre-qualification process so far. Public advertisements have been done. A pre-qualification conference was held on the 3rd of July 2025. 12 firms have submitted applications currently under evaluation. Proposed new toll rates have been submitted to Parliament via Ministry of Finance to determine the rates we are going to be charging when the toll is implemented. We are hoping that this will be based on electronic platform. There will be no physical barriers in on any road, and the tolling would only apply to roads that are engineered. You will notice that whenever government changes, there's this tendency for people to be interested in managing as a load stations. My brothers and sisters, whatever money we collect in terms of penalties, and let me repeat, whatever you pay with respect to as a loading is not a fee. It's a penalty for wrongdoing. So our aim is to make sure that as a loading would, the accruals will be zero. Those of you who have seen part of the road Agona Junction to Takwa, which was done less than a year ago, part of the reason that road is almost gone is partly because of as a loading, not entirely because of that. But many other roads across our country are in a very deplorable state. We intend to do something about this, and then we have recommended a stiffer penalty regime for those who would not abide by the rule and overload. So you will see that the fees and charges that will come up, we are intending to hike the penalty for overloading on our road from 5,000 Ghana cedi to 50,000.
Meanwhile, a member of the Roads and Transportation Committee, Francis Asiedu-Dartey, has accused the Roads and Highways Minister of double standards and misrepresenting old road projects as new initiatives. Speaking to the press and Parliament, the former Roads and Highways Minister says that the previous administration completed over 13,000 kilometers of road, a figure that contradicts statements made by the current minister.
Today's comment made by the Minister for Roads and Highways, Honorable Kwame Abuja, during his press briefing are not only misleading, but reflect a worrying pattern of deliberate distortion and double standards. There are two issues that I want to talk about. One is the over 13,000 kilometers of road constructed under President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. The minister claims that President Akufo-Addo's widely acknowledged achievement of constructing over 13, he mentioned 10,000, but the original figure is over 13,000 roads, is a mirage because he did not see any such roads during his recent tour. This is not only disingenuous, but gross attempt to politicize hard facts. Let us put the matter on record, set the record straight. Between 2017 and end of 2024, the Akufo-Addo administration undertook road projects totaling 13,624 kilometers. This is in clear contrast to the 4,636 kilometers executed under the Mills Mahama administration of 8 years. These over 13 kilometers comprise new constructions, asphalt overlays, graveling and graveling, reconstruction and partial reconstruction. If the minister has doubts about the data, he should have the courage and the sincerity to confront the Director of Monitoring and Evaluation at the Ministry, not to resort to cheap political propaganda aimed at tarnishing the legacy that outshines anything his party has achieved in office.
The Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Akwele-Oklu has pledged to restore all encroached Ramsar sites within the region. In an upcoming TV3 documentary titled Vanishing Wetlands, the minister revealed that her office has the full backing of the presidency to undertake this ambitious restoration effort. Joseph Armstrong has the rest of the story.
The Greater Accra region is home to 3 internationally recognized Ramsar sites: the Sakumo Ramsar site, the Densu Delta, and the Adansongo Ramsar site. Sadly, these vital ecological areas are on the brink of collapse due to years of unchecked encroachment and illegal development. This environmental degradation has significantly contributed to frequent flooding in parts of the capital, resulting in loss of lives and destruction of property. To address this crisis, the minister, in collaboration with NADMO and various district assemblies, has initiated a massive demolition exercise targeting unauthorized structures built on Ramsar lands. Speaking to TV3, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Linda Akwele-Oklu, emphasized her ministry's unwavering commitment to restoring all wetlands in the capital.
We cannot be here on our own authority. Jubilee House is in a known. As far as NADMO is concerned, he's also here. DJ is here, Director General for NADMO. We are all here. The fact that we started here doesn't mean that we are ending here. It's a process. And so right from here, we'll visit other places to make sure that all the illegal structures will be done. I'm not sure there will be any compensation because the people are very much aware that there's a Ramsar site, a reserve site. And so why would you even come and build here?
But how did things get this far?
A systemic failure. Systemic failure because you realize that instead of the institutions working together, they end up blaming each other.
We are begging government to do is people are built already. There are places which are core, heavily under siege. That one, if there's a demolition, no, fine. But there are a lot of places which are proper dry lands. So the government must liaise with the various chiefs on those lands. And then with the assembly, together with the assembly, do some form of regularization.
The political will is there and people will not sort of use their influence and connections to do things, and they think after doing it, they have a way of regularizing it. You can go somewhere.
It is not the fault of most of these people to be here. They were misled. But you yourself knew, those people here, they know that this place is not a residential area. When something is about the common good of the nation, your individual interest doesn't come in. Wetlands are wetlands. They are meant for a reason.
On her part, the Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Professor Nana Ama Kluchi, criticized the role of some district assemblies, accusing them of issuing permits to developers without proper consultation with relevant agencies. This, she said, has led to rampant encroachment on protected wetlands.
Had a project to protect our Ramsar sites, so we had planted trees around these wetland areas. Just before we know, then we get some developers filling and building houses in these wetlands.
Tune in to TV3 on Wednesday, July 30 at 9 p.m. for a full documentary on wetlands titled Vanishing Wetlands.
Do make a date with us tonight at 9. As part of processes to intensify stakeholder engagement ahead of the rollout of the human papillomavirus vaccine in Ghana, health and education officials have outlined plans to ensure high coverage. The step is crucial towards eliminating a major health threat against women.
Ghana is set to begin the rollout of HPV vaccine from September 5 for all girls aged 9 to 14, following the high incidence of cervical cancer in the country. Currently, Data suggests an estimated 2,800 new cases of the disease is diagnosed annually, with about 1,700 deaths attributed to the disease each year. Also, 70% of women with cervical cancer in Ghana are diagnosed when their tumors have progressed to advanced stages. At a stakeholders' discussion on the nationwide rollout, the World Health Organization's representative in Ghana explained how significant the introduction of this HPV vaccination is to young girls in the country.
The global agenda to eliminate cervical cancer is enshrined in Sustainable Development Goal 3.4, which aims to reduce premature mortality from non-communicable diseases by 1/3 by 2030. In countries like Ghana, where access to services, access to screening and treatment is limited, the human papillomavirus vaccine is the cornerstone of prevention.
Since most girls within the 9 to 14 years age bracket are in school, the Ghana Health Service is strongly collaborating with Ghana Education Service for a successful rollout.
The vaccination of our young girls against HPV is not just a health campaign, it is a national duty. It's about protecting the next generation of women. Let's work collaboratively with our regional and district health teams to reach every eligible girl, no matter where they live.
The Education Directorate has hinted of its readiness to ensure no eligible girl misses the protection due to misinformation.
The support and trust of our communities hinges greatly on how we communicate and educate and advocate. Protecting the health of girls today means empowering the women of tomorrow, mothers, leaders, professionals, and change makers.
The campaign is expected to significantly reduce HPV-related diseases, marking a major milestone in Ghana's public health efforts.
The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has rejected claims that investigative agencies are abusing the rights of citizens in the name of Operation Recover or Loot. This was his response to concerns by some members of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs on high bail sums fixed by investigative bodies, including IOCO, in the last few months.
The Parliamentary Select Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs, as part of the oversight responsibilities, engaged some institutions on best ways to enhance the operations. The committee first engaged the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, and in that meeting, it was revealed that investigative agencies, in their pursuit to recover stolen state funds, violated rights of suspects. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, rejected the claims.
If you steal 70 million and you expect bail of 1 million, you are not even being reasonable yourself. Okay, so that is where I know that the principle is that, and as you rightly quoted, Section 96, bail should not be used as punishment. Okay, but bail should also be set in a way that makes it possible to deter the persons who, have committed the offense from escaping from the jurisdiction.
Legal Aid Commission also outlined their numerous challenges to the committee, which largely bordered on security.
On several occasions, most of our colleagues have been attacked. We have never had any security officer. I've been in legal aid for over 10 years now. We have never had a security officer be at post. Because the work we do, we need to be protected.
Currently, the commission has staff strength of 193, which is complained as inadequate, coupled with lack of resources. Chairman of the committee, Shaibu Mahama, pledged that the committee will ensure most challenges are resolved, if not all.
Some get it, and then persistent and consistent push will get all of these things out for you. And so these are the preliminary stuff that I just taken from you. Like I said, we have listened to your programs. We know them already, but we just want you to tell us again what those issues are.
The Registrar General's Department and the Council for Law Reporting also met the committee, who are assured of improved budgetary allocation and logistical support.
You're watching News 360. Stay with us. We have business, sports, entertainment, all coming up.
I love President charcoal. Why? When there are so many other charcoal toothpaste. There's both charcoal and lemon. Oh, yes, look right here.
Yes. Pepsodent Charcoal has two of nature's powerful whitening ingredients. With the power of activated charcoal and lemon essence, it removes stains and white.
From the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani. From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News, leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
policy rate was at 24.5%, inflation was at 37.2%.
That was in 2022.
2022. However, now in 2025, where inflation is around 25%, policy rates are 25%, inflation is at 13.7%. But you look at 28% was maintained for about 4 consecutive times.
Yeah.
And as it was maintained, inflation dropped significantly. Okay. So the big question is, now that we've dropped policy rate, will the inflation drop continue?
Further? That's a question for the gods.
Those are critical questions we'll be answering in our subsequent bulletins as we analyze the data.
Okay, great.
All right, and thank you so much. So we'll go straight into our top story. Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obudu. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has lowered its key lending rate by 300 basis points to 25%, the biggest cut in years as macroeconomic indicators point to a firmer recovery. The bank says these trends support a policy shift to ease credit conditions and sustain growth.
With inflation slowing and the economy showing signs of recovery, all eyes were on the central bank's next move. At its 125th monetary policy press briefing, the committee has made a bold call, one that could shape lending rates, business sentiment, and household spending in the coming months. Headline inflation has declined sharply to 13.7% in June, down from 18.4% in May, the lowest reading since December 2021. The cedi has appreciated by 40.7% against the US dollar so far this year, while gross international reserves now stand at $11.1 billion, enough to cover 4.8 months of imports.
The impact of these risks on inflation are expected to be offset by appropriately tight monetary policy stance and continued fiscal consolidation. Given these considerations, the MPC, by a majority decision, voted to lower the monetary policy rate by 300 basis points to 25.0%.
The governor also highlighted improved fiscal performance, with the public debt stock dropping from 61.8% of GDP at end 2024 to 43.8% in June 2025, driven by cedi appreciation and lower borrowing.
Our gross international reserves stood at $11.1 billion as at the end of June 2025, which is equivalent to 4.8 months of imports of goods and services, compared to $8.9 billion or 4 months of imports cover as at end December 2024.
Bismarck Hausa, 3 Business, The Bank Square.
Meanwhile, a senior fellow at the civil society organization Africa Policy Network has criticized the rate cut, describing it as woefully inadequate. He argued that given current macroeconomic conditions, a reduction to at least 20% would have been more appropriate.
The 300 basis points reduction in the policy rate, I think, is woefully inadequate and does not address the systemic problem that businesses face in getting credit at a very high cost. And I think that the realistic policy rate currently, looking at the indicators, should be around 20% and not 25%, because the data tells us that we are doing so well in terms of our monetary and the economic indicators. For example, if we look at the dollar, which has fallen by about 40% from the beginning of the year. If we look at inflation has fallen around 41.7%. Interbank rate is doing has fallen about 35%. The Treasury bill rate alone has fallen over 60%. But when you come to monetary policy, but for this last reduction, we were doing around 7%, which relatively somebody may want to question, why are we keeping the monetary policy so high?
We'll turn our attention now to the currency and commodities market and bring you updates. And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for watching. Up next is sports.
Still, Misaka, and Namu was a summer brabo, and it can afford swab.
Misaka pensions, Carol.
Misaka or the Sika.
Misaka insurance.
Misaka loan.
Momo Fogosuri ye echumaden, diaboye nyina ye sika ho ban. Se MTN ana momo jumaye ni befrewa or the 0244 300,000 ene befrew. Na numpo orin bitsaw one time password ana se upin code enti wonso ye wa femu die na ma weni na ho na wonsa enka omo.
Intense, fresh, long-lasting, and
reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle, from the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital,
from the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom,
reporting from Sunyani, from the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off from Asante Kotoko Sporting Club because they paid homage to their live patron, the Asante Henry Otumfuo-Osei II at the Menchia Palace earlier on Wednesday. The Porcupine Warriors presented their recently won trophies and sought royal blessings ahead of the 2025-2026 football season.
It was a proud day at the Menchia Palace as Asante Kotoko Sporting Club, led by Interim Management Committee Chairman Nana Penkra, presented the President's Cup and Toyota Cup trophies to their live patron Otumfuo-Osei II. The entire technical team and playing body were in attendance, demonstrating unity and renewed determination as the club prepares for the 2025-26 football season. Nana Penkra confirmed Kotoko's participation in the upcoming Top 4 competition and promised fans a strong campaign in Africa this season.
South Africa. And President Portia, listen, it's in your craft and your position. Yes, me and my person. Referee, how much you be our price is no one person here. Yes, yes, for us, if you buy a home of here, it is not for them. The share was a bit African Cup India. And so, they say, you're a share, you're a share, or vampire bar. It is very deep.
As part of the visit, the club also unveiled their new kit for the coming season to the Asante Hene, seeking his blessings before heading to Cape Coast to continue pre-season's preparations. Though tradition prevented the Asante Hene from speaking publicly on the sacred day of Awukudai, he privately blessed the team, boosting morale ahead of the challenges to come. Kotoko will now continue their preparations in Cape Coast with their eyes set on a strong showing in the top 4 and the CAF inter-club competitions.
Well, let's do some more stories where the players of Bayern Munich finally have the ball at their feet again after their obligatory medical assessment and performances diagnostic test. The players started training on Wednesday afternoon for the first time since the club woke up under the guidance of head coach Vincent Kompany, including the new signing Luis Diaz, who was also involved in the first training session of pre-season. The 28-year-old's move from Liverpool to Munich was only announced on Wednesday morning. The Colombian attacker is also set to be included in Bayern's squad for the first time in their friendly against Lyon on Saturday afternoon at the Allianz Arena. You can get more updates on our social media handles at 3Sports. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle, from the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital.
From the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Reporting from Sunyani. From the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds. The moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust, impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News. Leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by GTP Lifestyle and Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
Good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Jifa Gomashi, has eulogized the late high life icon, Daddy Lumba, describing him as a true legend, national icon, and one of the greatest musicians Ghana has ever witnessed. Now, she was speaking at the launch of the National Heritage Photo Competition.
In honor of a true legend, a national icon, and one of the greatest high-life musicians this country has ever known, the late Charles Kwejo Fosu, affectionately called by all of us as Daddy Lumba. His music touched generations. His voice became the soundtrack of our lives. His lyrics captured the stages of the life cycle, and his legacy will echo through the heart of Ghanaians and Africans forever.
Speaking at the launch of the National Heritage Photo Competition, the minister disclosed that Ghana is in talks with UNESCO to have high-life music officially recognized as an intangible cultural heritage.
We are in talks with UNESCO. We've done all the work to have high life listed, and it would have been great to have him with us when they eventually give us that green light for us to have a real celebration of part of our heritage that comes through our songs. But our creator knows best. I'm sure he's journeying on to continue high-lifing even in heaven with the ancestors.
The recognition of high life as a cultural heritage underscores its significance in Ghanaian culture and history. And now to some more stories. Guinean media personality Amidu has been selected to serve as a juror at the 2025 International Emmy Awards, a prestigious recognition of excellence in television programming globally. Now, this marks her return to the panel of jurors. Anita expressed gratitude to the International Academy of Television Arts Sciences for the honor. In a post on social media, Skin detailed her journey from on-screen talent to assuming a variety of jobs, including editor, producer, executive producer, and storyteller. She highlighted the value of deliberate learning and development in her career. Well, that'll be it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you, Noella. Coming up, international news.
Angola's government said on Wednesday that the death toll from violent protests against a fuel price hike had risen to 22 from the previous day's estimate of 4. The unrest broke out on Monday when minibus taxi associations launched a 3-day strike against a government decision to increase the price of diesel by 1/3, part of efforts to curb costly subsidies and shore up public finances. Looting, vandalism and clashes with police started in the capital, Luanda, then spread to other provinces. A presidency statement said there had been 22 deaths, 197 people injured, and 1,214 arrests.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Remember that at 9 p.m. Armstrong Gold Alogbe's documentary titled Vanishing Wetlands will be on your screen. So do make a date to see how best we can save our wetlands.
Do join Alfredo Kansa at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.